Well, the worst is yet to come. That's according to French President Emmanuel Macron, who spoke with Vladimir Putin on the phone earlier today. Macron concluded that Putin wants total control of Ukraine. Well, joining us now to get insight into the mind of Vladimir Putin is someone who worked very closely with him, former chief economist advisor Andrei Illarionov, who is now a senior fellow at the Center for Security Policy. Andrei, welcome to the show. Very excited to talk to you as being someone who has worked so close to Putin. Many people are saying that he has lost his mind. You advised him for 5 years. Take us inside his mind. What is he thinking, and is it different from when you knew him?
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me. Answering your question, I will definitely tell you that neither before, not now, Putin does not demonstrate anything that he is losing his mind. He's very concentrated, he's very calculated, he's very precise, he knows what he wants, and he's trying to implement his policy and achieve his goals. He's very persistent in getting what he wants.
So here's what I don't get, though, and you know him well, but all of the U.S. intelligence keeps trying to talk about how his mind is deteriorating. As a former KGB agent, is he trying to throw us off then?
No, it's clear destruction, and it's not, unfortunately, it's not the first time when the so-called American intelligence gives wrong information. And it's a different topic, how many problems we have with the intelligence, but that is definitely not correct. We have seen how accurate, how Putin was in preparation of this war, that he was able to fool actually all main powers, including the United States. President Biden said several times the date when he thought Putin would attack Ukraine, and he missed all the time. Many people in military said that this 150,000 troops not enough to attack Ukraine. And finally, Putin attacked Ukraine with this number of troops. So it's a lot of problems with intelligence in Kabul, in many other places. And now we're once again dealing with a very serious problem with intelligence. Putin is pretty smart, very organized, very calculated, and continues his attack on Ukraine, and not only on Ukraine, against Europe and against the United States.
Andrei, the current sanctions, they really don't seem to be working. Putin today signaled that he's not stopping. So what would cause him to stop, in your opinion?
Putin is employing hardware policies. It is a military attack. Military attack cannot be stopped by UN resolution. Military attack cannot stop but so-called soft diplomacy that we heard so much have heard from the White House and from the State Department, that another option is still space for diplomacy. We see on our screens this space of diplomacy, and the hundreds and thousands of peaceful citizens being killed by Russian rockets, missiles, tanks, planes. So this hardware attack can be stopped by hardware response. There is no other way.
You know, I've heard rumors or suggestions that some people think the Russian people might rise up, that the oligarchs are going to get fed up if sanctions are imposed on them and their families. What would it take for him to say, okay, I've gone too far?
It's another distraction of our attention. So the so-called oligarchs do not have any real influence on decision-making process in Kremlin. Mr. Putin is pretty isolated, and he created almost totalitarian dictatorship where only him who takes decisions. None of oligarchs can have any influence on this decision-making process. So that is why whatever you or United States, the world would do with oligarchs, it might be very good, but it would not change the policy planning and policy implementation on part of Putin. The only thing that can really stop Putin in Ukraine and in Europe, this is a resistance that is being produced by Ukrainian military, by all Ukrainian people that heroically resisting this aggression. Also, if the United States and NATO countries could help, for example, closing the sky over Western Ukraine to secure humanitarian convoys and supply of munition from the Western countries, that would be very good. It could be very good if volunteers would come to Ukraine. It would be very good if more munitions would come to Ukraine. That really can stop this aggression.
Okay.
Wow. Andrei, I feel like we could talk to you all night. Unfortunately, we're out of time. I really appreciate you giving us your insight this evening.
Thank you.